What's going on, guys? Keith, Two Guys How To. Thanks for checking out the channel today, and be sure to check out the other videos. I'm running tired today. I'm fixing one more thing before I go fishing, and today we're fixing this Jonway scooter. We redid the fuel pump last year, and this year, since it's been sitting, it's just hard to start. So if you have a scooter it's hard to start, I'm going to show you real quick how to clean the carburetor. You can see the carburetor's down in there. I'm going to get you down there with me. We're going to take that off. We're going to clean it. We've got our tools ready. We've got an array of Phillips head screwdriver, flathead, some needle nose, and some brake and parts cleaned by CRC. This is a non-chlorinated cleaner. It won't swell your gaskets or eat through your rubber gloves, and that's what we always use. So I've also got a drip tray here to drip all my little chemicals on as I spray it. And I've got some speaker wire in case the jet's inside that carburetor. I stripped the speaker wire down. We're going to poke that up in there and get all the little orifices and the jets cleaned in there. So let's get you down where I am, and we're gonna loosen up some hose clamps here on this intake boot and take this carburetor off. And I know I make it sound easy, but it is actually easy. Don't take it anywhere. Take it somewhere last resort if you can't fix it yourself. But I'm going to show you how you can fix it yourself in the other videos that I do. Show you how to fix it yourself. So now that you're down at my level here, we're at the rear of the bike. Here's the shock. Here's the air filter right on here, and the carburetor's connected to it. And there's a little clamp up in there. It's hard to get to because you got this shroud right here, this fairing. I want to leave it on, so I've got a slightly longer Phillips head screwdriver. If I need to, I'm going to go in the shop and I'll get a longer one. But let's see if we can get up in personal. And there's a hose clamp up in there. I'll show you guys what we got going on. This is your intake boot right here, your air filter. This is your main carburetor. And your intake boot's up in there, and you got two clamps, one that holds it to the motor and one that holds it to the carburetor. So let's see if I can get in there and get this loose while you guys are watching here. And these are at a tight little angle, but it's just a Phillips head. Let's just loosen that on up. And you can see, if you chase up underneath here, you've got your fuel line that comes out of the bottom of the gas tank. And this is your fuel filter, and the fuel line comes into the top, which is a pinch clamp. That's what we're going to use those needle nose for. So let's go ahead and I would turn the gas off. There's no gas turn off on this. The fuel pump is way up inside there. Can't really see it, so it shuts off on its own. Now that we got that clamp loose, we go ahead and loosen this up and pull it off and see how much slack we have, if at all. And you can see there's that intake boot right there, and the carburetor end goes right into that boot. So what we're going to do is take this bottom float bowl off. That's where all your gas gets stored. This is your overflow tube right here, and your drain bowl if you wanted to drain it for the winter time, I believe, on this bike. So I'm going to leave the air filter hooked up. I'm going to leave the throttle cable hooked up right there. I'm going to leave the gas line even hooked up. And looks like there's no choke. It's got some vacuum line here on the top of the carb. I'm going to leave still hooked up, and the choke should be there. This looks like an aftermarket Chinese carb that someone put on. This one isn't the original, and this is actually a Jonway. This is a YY50QT-6A, and it's actually a 2-stroke. Yours could be a 4-stroke. This video still applies to that as well. Don't worry about it. So 2-stroke, 4-stroke, doesn't matter, but today we're working on a Jonway. So let's get busy. We got the carb off. I showed you how to do that. I'm going to use that same Phillips head. I'm not going to mess with any of the tubes or any of the adjustments on it. I'm just going to flip that thing over, get my drain bowl up underneath here, and I'm just going to take these bolts right on out. And this is your drain bowl. Your float's up in there, and your needle in your seat, and that's what makes this thing idle. And the gas goes down in this bowl, fills it up right. The air comes in through the intake, or through your air filter into the intake, and the amount of air swooped with the gas makes you go. So let's go ahead and take these off gently. These have little lock washers on them. We're going to go ahead and set that down, and if you're unfamiliar and I'm going too fast, just take pictures. Watch this video over and over. You will get better at it, and you'll be able to fix any and all of your stuff, even your buddy's scooters. Tell them to bring it over, you'll get it running. I get bikes running that have sat 12 years or more. My buddy had a four-wheeler, brought it over 45 minutes. I had him out doing wheelies in the yard, so it can definitely be done. It just takes a little bit of know-how. So you can see it's starting to leak now. I'm gonna go ahead and get that drain bowl up underneath there, and I pulled this out. Here's our last screw, and you can see our float bowl gasket kind of came off of here. And it looks like it's almost got a little tear in it from the old owner. Someone had been in here. But let's go ahead and put this back around the way it's supposed to go. It's not ripped all the way through, and you can see down in there the gas. That gas actually looks pretty good. The bowl looks pretty clean. I'm gonna go ahead and set this gasket off to the side, somewhere nice and dry right here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and spray this out. Try not to spray your rubber gaskets. This stuff, this non-chlorinated brake clean, CRC, won't eat those gaskets up, but you still want to keep these cleaners away from those gaskets. It'll swell them out and eat them up. And you can see my gloves. Normally, if this was a chlorinated cleaner, it's starting to ripple them a little bit. But if that was chlorinated, it would just eat these up. These gloves would swell out and they'd rip open. That's how you can tell this isn't as abrasive, but you still want to keep it away from those little O-rings and stuff. You don't want to really spray it on your rubber boots. So we're good and clean up in there. I cleaned this one last year on another video of mine, and I just never rode it. I got so much other stuff I'm riding and working on. And now that we've got the carb off, let's go ahead and move this drip tray down. You can see up inside there, and I'm gonna try to get you guys as close as possible. This is your float. You can see it moving up and down. So when that bowl fills up with gas, this float moves up and it shuts the little seal, this little needle seal up in there. And when you use the gas, it goes down, lets the air come in this air filter, and takes that gas into the motor. It sparks, and you get your ignition. This particular bike's a 2-cycle, a 2-stroke. You mix the oil and gas. Some of these Jonways, you got to double check it. The numbers are almost the same. They're a 4-stroke, and they don't take a gas mix. So you don't want to blow the bike up and put regular gas in, and you don't want to, if it's a 2-stroke, and you don't want to foul the bike out if it's a 4-stroke by adding oil to the gas in there. So let me get you guys down even closer if I can, and I'm going to show you how this all works. You got your float here, and you got your main jet here where your needle goes in from your throttle into this one, and you've got your other jet that's taken in and kind of measuring your air and your gas mix, and does its thing. So it looks like the float's good. The float's good. It's nice and clean. I'm going to go ahead and just spray a little bit on it up in there right now. And I'm going to get a flathead screwdriver and take this one main jet out here, right in the middle. Some of them take the flathead, some of them will take a nut, so let's just be careful. Let's just unscrew that out, and I'll show you guys what's up. That's your main jet right there, and that was right in the middle, the biggest one, right in the middle of the bottom of that bowl. And I'm going to spray a little bit of carb clean down into that. Watch out, it'll come back and hit you in the eye. And I'm actually going to take that strip speaker wire, remember I showed you guys before, and I'm going to run it right up into there. It should run right up in through there, and it seemed like it was a little clogged. These jet openings are very small, and you can see it coming out through the top. And it's a little hard to get in. That's how I know it's kind of gummed up. There we go. And you can see how it went all the way through and came out the top part. So I'm just going to go ahead and move that up and down like that and kind of clean it out, just agitate it a little bit. And go ahead and run that carb clean right back down through the middle again. And if you hold it up to the light, you can see through it. We're good. But you know what? I'm gonna run it one more time while I'm in here, and we took this time to get up in here. I'm not gonna half-ass it. I'm gonna run this up and through there one more time just to make sure it goes through. This is actually the other end of the wire, which is a little crook, so I'm gonna kind of spin it around. See if I can get it to go up through there, and flip it upside down. See if I can get it to go up through there. This is the better end here. So let's try it again. Boom. And I'm just going to move that up and down a few times just to make sure I clean out and keep that jet circular in there. That debris in this new ethanol gas just messes everything up. It gets little beads of gel in there, almost looks like caviar fish eggs. And it'll just gum everything up, man. It's not like the old gas. Yeah, we're getting better flow now when I'm bursting through it. It's not popping back at the face. So I'm gonna go ahead and just set that down on the ground right there. I got a nice clean area. And let's look at this other, there's another jet right up in there, a smaller one. But let's just go ahead and take this float off while we have a chance. This particular float is held in by a little float axle pin, a float pin. You can see the pin there. And the thing that you just heard drop is our needle. And that thing's super tiny. I can show you in my hand. And it's got a little teeny tip on it that pushes in. If I hold it lightly and I can push it with the screwdriver, it'll go in. There's a spring in there. And it feels pretty good, pretty resistant. I'm liking that, so I'm just gonna clean that up. And I can show you guys where that goes. I'm gonna squirt a little bit of squirt up in that needle seat where we just took out that needle. I always call it, looks like the Washington Monument. And let me get you guys right up in there so I can show you what's up. So we took out that one main jet, it was right in the middle there. And that needle seat, the needle sits right up in this seat attached to that float. And I'll show you once we put it back together how that all goes together. We got one more jet right here. Let's go ahead and just take this jet out. And don't be afraid, just don't over tighten everything. Use a proper screwdriver that's gonna get it out. Make sure it fits down in there well. And let's just unscrew this other jet. This one's got little teeny holes in it, as well as the main hole through the center. But it also has some holes that come off the sides. And if those get clogged or gummed up, it's not gonna run right. So I'm gonna go ahead and just rinse that off one time, burst up through the middle. And let's see if we can run our wire up through there. Usually these are a little too small to run the wire up, but I've got a solution for that as well. I've got other speaker wire that I've taken and actually stripped it. This is multi-strand speaker wire. And I'm just gonna strip it, maybe leave about 2 wires together and spin those together. And I keep these in my little carburetor tool cleaning kit. And let's see if we can run that size wire up through the middle here. And it's hard to see once you start messing with these little carbs. You really got to be on point. And it's going up in there pretty good, but I'm going to take a single strand here off to the side. You can see, you probably barely see that on the camera, and I'm going to run that single strand right up the middle. And it's hard to do. This wire is very thin, but these orifices and these carburetors are very small. So it's almost through. Almost all the way through. Let's try to see if we can get it to push through the other end so I can make sure it's cleared in the middle there. It's hard to do, especially with these gloves on. You might have to take the gloves off. And okay, I see it poking out. Let's see if we can grab it here. This is the hardest part. You get down to this part. Let's see if I can grab it with these needle nose here so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. Just like the first jet, we want this to go through. And you can see I got that through there now. And now that we got it through, I can actually just kind of go back and forth with it and spin it around. And make sure that hole is definitely open. I felt some goo up in there a second ago, so I think we're good there. Let's clean out the middle one more time. Watch out, it will blow back in your face. I should have some safety goggles on, but it's getting late, I can't really see. And there's little teeny holes on this jet, right on the side. And you want to put that wire right through those dang holes. You'll see it goes all the way through. You see how it's hanging on there? And just clean them, rock that back and forth again. This particular one looks like it has 2 that go all the way through on this side. And if we spin it, there's 2 more on this side. Man, they're hard to see. Let's see if I can get up in there. So make sure all 4 of those holes are cleaned out. That one seems a little bit clogged. That could be our culprit right there. I'm gonna take this glove off because I can't really get up in there. And let's poke out those 2 holes one more time. I think that one was our problem. These holes are so small, if that gas doesn't burst through there the way it should when you accelerate or try to start it, it's just not gonna run right. And working with these smaller carbs, man, it's crazy. The wire is you gotta use thinner wire, it bends easier. That's 1 hole. That's 2 there. Let's go ahead and spin it again and double check, make sure these other ones are still open now that we punched through the other side. Man, these are small, small holes. And that one, it gives me a little bit of trouble every time when I go into that one. So let's spin it around and try to go through the back side and punch our way out. And we're good, and you can see how it's hanging on there. All right, let's go back down through the middle one time. It is wild. All right, let's go ahead and spray this out one more time, see if it bursts out on the sides. It's not flowing as good as I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back up inside there one more time. And it's tedious, but man, you're gonna save a bunch of money by doing it yourself. And this one, again, you can hold up to the sky and look at it and see what you see through it. I see a little bit through it. So let's go ahead and spray it out one more time, gently. And watch your eyes. What you want to do is see it come out of those side holes here. It'll spray out like this as well as in the middle. And I'm going to give it a good saturating right on that one that was giving us a hard time. All right, so we're good. Let's go ahead and put this one back where it went. Actually, I'm going to shoot a little jet stream up into where it came out of. Make sure that's good. Let's go ahead and get this back in. See if this thing fires up the way we want it to. So let's put that skinny jet back in there and just snug it down. Let's go ahead and put that big jet where your needle goes down in there from your throttle back in. Let's go ahead and snug it down. Now we're going to get to the little, it's a little trickier, a little bit more complicated. Putting that needle back up where it's supposed to go. Remember, I showed you that little teeny needle before. You can see it. And you've got the spring end and you've got the pointy end that looks like the Washington Monument down in DC. Let's spray this off. That pointy end goes right up in that hole right there where the seat is. And I'll show you. Let me get the camera. Some of them clip on onto the float, some of them don't. Let's see if I can get you guys up in here. And it's right here. I put it right in that hole right there. That's the spring side is facing the float bowl, and the pointy needle side is facing up towards the carburetor. So let's get you guys back in the mix here. And we've got that. I'm going to set this down, and you can see that the needle just fell out. So I'm going to clean that one more time. And I'm just going to set it right up here on the edge of the moped here and spray off this float and that float axle. And what happens on this thing is it's got a little tab right there. If you can see it, you can barely see it. I'll point to it with the screwdriver. This little tab right there pushes up on that the spring part of the needle, the Washington Monument needle. So we're going to go ahead and get this kind of up in here, ready to go. I'm going to try to hold it one-handed, see if I can do this. Normally I take the whole carburetor off, but I'm trying to do a quickie quick here today. And let's go ahead and get that needle up in there. Remember, we want the spring side down, the pointy side looks like a pencil, like a sharpened pencil. It's got to go up inside that seat. And make sure that float goes back in the same direction. Don't have it upside down. And it kind of sits right in. It's a bit of a bear to do, not taking it off the bike. But it's actually going to save us some time in the long run by not taking it off this bike. It sits up in there, and I'll show you guys how it sits here in a second. Give me one sec. This one kind of sits in a little channel, and this Phillips head is a set screw. It holds that little float pin, the axle, in place. So snug that down, and I'll show you guys what I mean by that here. It's hard to do. You can see that little axle right there where my thumb is, and you see how that pivots on there. So that's it. Once it's in, and what's happening is that little tab right there is pushing up on that spring, on that needle, on that Washington Monument needle. So when that bowl's sitting like this and the gas comes down in there, it pushes that up. The gas is off. It's still at idle. And then when you gun it and you use that gas up, it falls down, puts more gas down into the bowl, and away you go. And there's your throttle, just like that. Simple. And I'll go ahead and hold this here for a second. You can see the way it's set up. So we're good. We're good to go. Let's get you guys back out here, and we're gonna get this float bowl back on. Pretty simple. Hold it like this. Where did that float bowl go? We already pre-cleaned it, so we're good. And we know the gasket, we need that gasket that we set out on the side. Remember, we set it out of the way here. So let's go ahead and get that back on the way it's supposed to go. It should match the same exact way on the bowl here. And I think we're gonna wanna go like this. Make sure it's clean, wipe it off, be gentle with it. I set it somewhere where it was nice and clean. Set it up inside there like so. Let's match this up the same way. And just be careful with it. Don't cram it on there. Just lightly get it on there, nice and easy. Double check, make sure the gasket's tucked up in there nice. It should fit like flat and seated, and you shouldn't see any gaps around there. So let's just go ahead and we'll hand tighten down, get these screws started here to this float bowl. And I'm not going to tighten any of them up now. I'm just going to get them started, get them to where they bottom out, kind of flat, hit flat on that float bowl. And still holding even pressure on that gasket. I don't want that gasket to pop out the wrong way. I'm still just lightly holding it, and I'm going to keep it flat until I get all these screws in. And I'm going to just touch them down to that float bowl. I'm not going to tighten it. I'm going to tighten it last. And then we can go ahead and snug it back up. So let me go ahead and get another pair of gloves and let's do this. All right, I'm not going to use a glove. I'm liking the grip I'm getting right now. So I got pretty much a held firm grip here. We got all these little Phillips head screws on this float bowl in.
They're tightened down just enough to hold the gasket in place. Gaskets are cheap little rubber gaskets. If you rip them or tear them or spray that spray on them, that's the ball game. So I'm just going to pinch right down in the middle, and I'm just going to snug them down a little bit. I'm not going to over tighten them, and I'm going to go in a crisscross pattern. I start at the bottom, go to the top, go back to the bottom, go to the top. And then I'm just going to lightly touch each one, kind of get the same amount of torque on each one. It's pretty good. So we're good now. We know the float's in, the needle's cleaned on that Washington Monument, the pencil side's up, the spring side's at the bottom, and that float, the float's hitting that spring side and pushing up on it, cutting the gas, letting the gas in, and letting the gas out. When it's down, the gas is off. So let's go ahead and put this back up inside here into that intake boot. And you want to make sure it's kind of straight. You don't want the carb at an angle or anything. That float bowl is going to end up leaking. These things are kind of finicky. They're just a cheap little units to scat around on, but if they run right, you know, they're a lot of fun. So I'm going to keep that carburetor up where it looks pretty straight to me. This has that dang aftermarket air filter, which kind of messes with the airflow. You get too much airflow, you need more gas. I'm not going to get into that today, so I hope this thing runs right. It always ran right before. So let's just go ahead and tighten that down. Don't over tighten it, just snug them down a little bit. Shake on a little bit, make sure that carburetor is straight up and down, not at an angle. This particular one has a fuel pump on it. So when you give it gas, the vacuum from the motor is going up into the vacuum line and pulling down on that fuel pump diaphragm there, and it's actually letting gas down like a petcock gas shutoff would be. So this one has a kickstart if we need it. The battery's good on this, so let's go ahead and fire this thing up. And it's going to wait a little bit. You'll see the fuel line up underneath there. I put an inline fuel filter that you can see through, and I'll see that gas come down and percolate, and this thing should fire up. It's not too cold today, it's a little chilly, but I'm hoping it should fire up and do what it's supposed to do. Okay, got the carb on. We're going to go ahead and try to start it. Double check the float bowl at the bottom down there. Make sure it's there's no leaks, and see if she got some fire to her. It's been sitting about a year. Gas still should be fine. I'm going to let it warm up just a sec. Let's go ahead and turn it off. Turn it off. And turn it back on and try to start it one more time just to make sure what we did actually worked. Bam. No problem. So, let's go ahead and zing this thing around the yard and see what she does. Alright, so let's start it one more time. You know I got to give everything a test drive, so I think it's good. I got plenty of power. And don't forget, fix it yourself. Jonway 50cc scooter, 2-stroke, 4-stroke, doesn't matter. You can be running a 250cc, 150cc, whatever. Works on mini bikes, dirt bikes, mopeds, ATVs, 3-wheeler ATCs, whatever, man. Got questions, comments, hit me up. Check out the other videos. I answer them. It's me who answers them. I check through everything. I say, it's Keith, 2 Guys How To. I'll respond right back, man. I got a lot of people that hit me up, and I give them information or tell them how to do something. Or you can request the video. If I've got it around here, I work on it, I'm going to go ahead and shoot it for you. So I'm out of here. 2 Guys How To. Fix it yourself. Save that money. Get some of it. And I'm out. What's up, Iggy? Talk to him before I shut the video down. Oh yeah. Yep. You're not a pig, you're a lawyer. He's not a pig, he's a lawyer. Peace.
I'm not a pig, I'm a lawyer.